I feel like you're glancing over what the subject matter of that lawsuit was over. You said that you weren't just laying out a sequence of events. Like, the implication very clearly was that the Billy Mitchell guy was the reason why he did it, because of a demand for money. That was the thing you were wrong about, and that was the thing that the lawsuit was about now. We got a fresh off the press Karl Jobst response. Oh boy.
Lost my lawsuit against Billy Mitchell.
Oh,
and
no.
the judge has ordered me to pay $350,000 in damages, plus interest. It goes without saying this is not the result I wanted or expected, and it's honestly quite shocking. Personally, I disagree with the judge's decision, and so I'm currently exploring any potential avenues for appeal. An appeal may stay the judgment on application until the appeal has concluded, which might result in several outcomes. The appeal could be dismissed and I would be ordered to pay the original judgment. The judgment amount may be lowered if the court finds it excessive, or the judgment may be overturned completely if the court finds errors of law have been made. This entire process can take up to a year or longer, so as it stands, this remains an ongoing battle, and it's not a battle I hope to give up easily. This has been very upsetting, but truthfully, losing a court case isn't the end of the world, even if it is to Billy Mitchell. It sucks, it's not what I wanted, I know it's not what many others wanted, but life will go on. Unfortunately for me, something else has happened that has been far more upsetting, and far more difficult to deal with. Many people are upset and angry with me as they believe I have misled them and lied to them about the nature of the lawsuit. Some even go as far as saying that I intentionally lied to the public to scam people out of their money through my GoFundMe.
Ooh.
Mostly, people are upset because they believed the trial was about me accusing Billy Mitchell of cheating, but it turned out to be something else. The backlash has been pretty brutal, and it's not something I'd like to happen again, so I think it's very important for me to be as honest and transparent as I possibly can. I'm going to go through the entire timeline as it happened so that you have as much information as possible. At certain points, I'm going to have to combat things that people have said about me that aren't true, but that doesn't mean
Are there any other games you're looking forward to trying? No! This game is gonna suck too much of my time away, but it's a good break from all the crazy dramatic shit going on, so that's good. By the time I finish this up, we'll be back in a full swing, like going on to shows and shit mode.
I didn't also make mistakes, and that there also aren't valid criticisms. I hope to address criticisms that I think are wrong, and those that I think are right. And I apologize about the generic Minecraft footage, but I just don't do well on camera. So this will have to do. On the 26th of May, 2021, I released a video titled, "The Biggest Con-Men in Video Game History Strike Again." In that video, I discussed two new lawsuits that had been filed by Todd Rogers and Billy Mitchell. At the end of the video, I outlined all of the various lawsuits Billy Mitchell had filed against others. And when I came around to Billy's lawsuit against the YouTuber Apollo Legend, I said these words. He also sued YouTuber Apollo Legend for $1 million. I haven't spoken about this publicly, but this lawsuit ultimately ended with Apollo giving in and settling with Mitchell. He was forced to remove all of his videos about Mitchell's cheating and paid him a large sum of money. This left him deeply in debt, which required him to find extra work. But with his ongoing health issues, this was all too much of a burden, and he ultimately took his own life. Not that Billy Mitchell would ever care though. In fact, when Billy Mitchell thought Apollo died earlier, he expressed joy at the thought. The lawsuit against Apollo was just as frivolous as the rest, and Apollo definitely would have won in court, but again, he was extremely ill and couldn't handle the ongoing stress. This was inaccurate because the settlement terms did not involve Apollo Legend paying Billy any money. Even though this claim did turn out to be false, I believed it to be true at the time. I had been personally told there was a cash settlement, which numerous others said they were told as well, and this was also stated by multiple Reddit users, with one of them even claiming to have spoken with Apollo directly.
One thing I would be careful about, I've mentioned this on stream before multiple times, I can't speak to Australian law because I'm not an expert in every single thing in the world, but different countries treat defamation stuff differently. In some countries, merely believing that you were being correct, well, I'll say some countries in the United States, having a good reason or having any reason at all to think you're right will protect you from a defamation lawsuit against a public figure. But in other countries, you have to actually be correct in the things that you're saying. I know in Bongerland it's like that, and apparently in Australia it's like that. So just because somebody says a thing doesn't mean you can believe it's true and then start reporting on it.
Obviously, a Reddit post isn't usually very credible, but this person made these comments and was talking about the settlement before the settlement was even public, which implied to me that they knew what they were talking about and it was trustworthy. And the idea that Apollo Legend may have paid Billy Mitchell a large sum of money was already out in the public. In a 2020 EasyScape video, he said this.
Like I mentioned at the start of the video, there's a good chance that Apollo...
Is it going on show it's going to be a lot harder now that you're pretty much radioactive? No, I don't think so. There's already been people reaching out and stuff. I think it'll be pretty easy.
had to pay Billy a large amount of money in the settlement, and rumors online suggest it should be anywhere from $10,000 to $50,000 if this is what happened.
The important distinction, however, is that EasyScape did not claim this as a fact, but rather that it was just a good possibility. And I will need to point out that despite EasyScape thanking me in the description of this video, which people have then used to falsely claim that I went after Apollo Legend in some way, I had absolutely no input on anything he said regarding Apollo Legend, and I had no idea what he was going to say prior to the video's release. I had only simply provided him with some legal documents and information regarding the Todd Rogers and Billy Mitchell lawsuits, and EasyScape proactively reached out to me and allowed me to post his statement confirming this was the case. With all of the corroborating evidence I had, I believed at that time that Apollo Legend did pay Billy Mitchell money in the settlement, and this was not something that I merely fabricated or constructed myself. In Apollo Legend's goodbye video, which I won't replay here out of respect, he confirmed that he had health issues and that he had unpaid debts which he did not want to
How's it out of respect? The guy put out the video before he died, no? I mean, doesn't he expect people to watch it?
pass on to his estate, and he asked people to donate to his GoFundMe because of this. As a fellow YouTuber, I also know how much money Apollo was making on his Billy videos, which was money that he would also stop making due to having to remove these videos from his channel. And of course, you don't need to be sued to realize that being sued is an extremely stressful thing. And especially now after being sued myself, I can only say that you cannot imagine the stress this puts on you until it happens. Apollo himself even admitted this in a Discord message, and I can only assume that the other things he's referring to included his health issues. To be clear though, I never said Billy caused Apollo's suicide, nor have I ever believed that. No one is responsible for Apollo's decision other than Apollo. If you read my words carefully, I simply laid out a sequence of events that happened one after another. I said there was a lawsuit, Apollo settled, he was in debt, though I was incorrect about the cause of the debt, he needed extra work, and he had ongoing health issues. Then I said this was all too much of a burden, and he ultimately took his own life.
Well, I feel like you're glancing over what the subject matter of that lawsuit was over. You said that you weren't just laying out a sequence of events. Like, the implication very clearly was that the Billy Mitchell guy was the reason why he did it, because of a demand for money. And he said, when I was wrong about some things, that was the thing you were wrong about. And that was the thing that the lawsuit was about now. I feel like you lost conservative opportunities after your Corey firefighter take. Do you think that even matters now, considering conservatives are in their fortress arc? I don't know I think maybe immediately after. But I think that would have come about anyway if I would have gone more nuclear on shows. People would have not invited me. I think the only reason I started getting invited was because people saw me as a way to kind of sane wash the crazy shit they were saying, because they know that, like, well, Destiny's coming, but he's like a pretty nice dude and he'll be chill, so we can like talk to him, and that'll be like, we'll be satisfying our talk to liberals quota. That's my take on it.
I deliberately used words like and but to connect these events. I didn't use words like because or as a result of. I was also very careful to mention Apollo's pre-existing health issues.
Again, you got to be really careful, and I want to be very careful speaking with any level of specificity towards this case, but like, take everything I say with a grain of salt, I guess, because the current U.S. is insane, but generally, you can't be cutesy with stuff like this, where you're like, well, I didn't say that it happened because of him. I didn't say that it was 100% that. I just let out a sequence of events. Like, a judge or a jury is going to see through this and go, well, hold on, we know what you're doing. We're not stupid, right? It's obvious what's going on here, you know?
As a major factor. When I said this was all too much, I was clearly referring to multiple things together: the debt, the extra work, and his health issues, all simply as existing, not as causative factors. I never stated that Mitchell's lawsuit caused or could have caused Apollo's death. Any connection someone might draw between the lawsuit and Apollo's passing goes beyond what I actually said. I was extremely careful, though obviously not careful enough, not to make that claim, because I know the difference between describing a sequence of events and assigning blame for a tragedy. I did, however, get one statement of fact wrong, and trust me, I learned that lesson immediately. Ever since this very video back in 2021, and because of the resulting lawsuit, I've always endeavored to be much more careful about what I say. And if I do say something factual, I always try to ensure that I have ample concrete evidence to support it. On the 4th of June 2021, I was contacted by Keemstar, who on a call advised me that Billy was very unhappy with the comment I made regarding the settlement, and that it was false. In response to this, I removed that section and advised Keemstar to tell Billy that I had removed it and that I would make a retraction if Apollo's brother or Billy provides evidence that the claim was false. I then sent Apollo's brother an email explaining the situation, and asked if he could confirm if my statement was incorrect. Several hours after I removed the statement from my video, Billy posted to his channel a response video. In it, he stated that my claim was wrong and that I was accusing him of murder.
Is your civil case decided by a judge or a jury? I think it's the complainant, the complainer, in this case would be Pixie, gets to decide if you request a jury trial or not. I think they requested a jury trial, but that court date is like a year out, I think, because they set them far in advance. And I think right now the plan is that this case would probably be dismissed in summary judgment. We just have to wait till that phase comes about.
May 26th, Jobs released a video downright loaded with false defamatory statements.
Damn.
The most heinous accusation related to Apollo's passing.
Damn.
In the video, Jobs outright states that I drove Apollo to suicide.
Uh-oh.
In his words, he may as well have just said murder.
Several days later, I received a concerns notice from Billy's lawyer. This is a legal document that you must send to someone before you sue them for defamation. It's the first step in the process. It needs to outline the words of which they complain, what they imply, and why they are false. I didn't take this seriously when I received it, because it wasn't the first concerns notice that Billy had ever sent me. A year earlier, Billy had sent me a concerns notice after I called him a cheater in a video about Guinness World Records.
My guess here is a concern notice is basically the same thing as a cease and desist in the United States. Some people will get a cease and desist and say, oh my God, look, they're suing me. I got a cease and desist. Anybody can write a cease and desist. What a cease and desist does is it puts you on notice saying, hey, just so you know, you're doing something that I think is really wrong. It's so wrong that I could sue you. So here are some steps I'd like you to take to correct the action because I think this is so wrong. That's all a cease and desist is. It doesn't actually mean it's not like an actual thing that means you're getting sued. It could, but it is almost always oftentimes be the precursor to a lawsuit.
This was just after they reinstated his fake world records. The concerns notice was ridiculous, as obviously Billy is a proven cheater and everyone knows this, and it falsely claimed that I implied he was a criminal because I suggested that he may have paid Guinness to reinstate his scores, even though paying Guinness to adjudicate world records is literally their business model. And during this time, Billy was suing multiple entities for telling the truth that he is a cheater. So there was no reason for me to believe that his second concerns notice regarding Apollo Legend was any more trustworthy, and I assumed it was completely bogus and an attempt to silence me, just like all of his other actions. A couple of days after I received Billy's concerns notice regarding Apollo Legend, I
Did he said 2 years ago he got one as well from Billy as well? Is that what he said from Billy?
My video to add back in my claims regarding the settlement. Again, I believed them to be true, and my efforts to avoid legal action by taking them down had failed. In the pinned comment of Billy's response video, he even said that removing the words or making a retraction would make no difference. Several days after I reinstated my claim, I received an email reply from Apollo Legend's brother. He confirmed that originally Billy had tried to get money from Apollo, but this greatly upset Apollo because he simply had no money to give, and ultimately they adjusted the settlement, and in the final version there was no money transferred. As soon as I received this email, I removed my claim from my video, and it has been gone ever since. After I removed the claim from my video, we responded to Billy's lawyers advising them that the segment was removed and that I would be issuing a retraction. Billy said this was not sufficient, and in the response from Billy's lawyer, they stated that proceedings were necessary. Despite this, I still planned on releasing a retraction, and in my video, The Greatest Feat in Video Game History, I included this segment at the end. Now, before I finish the video, I would like to take this opportunity to correct something that I said in a previous video. Back in May, I talked about the new lawsuits filed by Todd Rogers and Billy Mitchell. In that video, I made the claim that Apollo Legend paid money to Billy Mitchell as part of their settlement. I would never make such a claim unless I had very good evidence to support my position. In response to this, Billy Mitchell released a video accusing me of lying and claimed that no money was exchanged. He didn't provide any evidence to back up this claim, nor did he attempt to get in contact with me to clear up any misinformation I may have had. However, I did investigate further as I would never want to provide false information to my viewers. I reached out to a member of Apollo's family who graciously agreed to clarify some details. According to them, despite Mitchell's best efforts, Apollo Legend would not pay any money, and in the final version of the settlement, there was no clause indicating that he was required to do so. Therefore, the statement I made in that video was almost certainly incorrect. I sincerely apologize for providing false information, and no matter what kind of relationship I have with Mitchell, I do not believe that it is ever justified to lie or mislead. Mitchell also claimed that I was accusing him of murder. This is certainly not the case. I do have my opinion regarding the impact of the settlement on Apollo's decision, but ultimately, it was no one's responsibility but his own. The only reason I mentioned it in that video was because I felt like it was important to let you know what happened, as I know many of you enjoyed his videos. My standard of evidence has changed dramatically since I made this original claim, so of course, now I disagree with my statement that I had very good evidence. But I was just trying to say that I didn't just make this up out of nowhere, and I didn't consider Billy's legal threat against me as him trying to get in contact with me, which is why I said that he didn't. After I released my retraction...
When would summary judgment be? I was going to actually get a fucking book and just read through the federal rules of civil procedure because I don't know them all. But from what I've been told, basically, you want to wait for a little bit of discovery so the other time has some side to... so that the other side has some time to make their case if they want to, and it shows better faith, I guess, to a judge. But then after, I guess, a couple months or whatever, I don't know how long you have to wait, you can file for a motion of summary judgment if you feel like the other side has failed to state a claim, which is where we're at right now. But the other side is like praying that they find something or discover something, basically.
My lawyers contacted Billy's lawyer to let them know, though we never heard back. I've heard a lot of people say that I never made a retraction or never attempted to correct the record or was trying to hide my retraction, and that if only I had just made a retraction, this entire thing would have been avoided. But that's just not the case. I wanted the retraction to get as many views as possible. I even said as much to my lawyers at the time. And ultimately, it did. My retraction got far more views than the original video. But it was clear from Billy, even before I made the retraction, that it wasn't going to affect his actions in any way. Then, in September 2021, Billy filed his lawsuit against me.
This could also be the case, too. Somebody could send you a cease and desist, but they might still be fully intending to sue you. Like, they'll just send it first because I think generally a court wants to see it first, but they could file it and still sue you after. It's not like they are not allowed to sue you if you comply with the terms of the cease and desist. You could already feel like you've been aggrieved or damaged in such a way that you want to sue them regardless.
Those are the events that led up to the lawsuit. But if the lawsuit was apparently just about my claim about the Apollo Legend settlement, then why did many people believe that it was about allegations of cheating?
It's as soon as discovery is completed. I thought I heard, actually my guy might have just told me this, maybe it's not true. I thought that you're allowed to file for summary judgment before discovery is necessarily completed. Do you have to wait for the whole discovery phase to end? Because if so, I don't know how long, I don't know when ours is set. I'm sure you fuckers probably already read the docket. You can pull that and find out. But
September 2021, Billy filed his lawsuit against me. Those are the events that led up to the lawsuit. But if the lawsuit was apparently just about my claim about the Apollo Legends settlement, then why did many people believe that it was about allegations of cheating? There are multiple reasons, and yes, I am one of them, but it wasn't just my YouTube audience who thought that. It was even news outlets. In fact, they were playing segments on national news about how Billy was suing me for cheating.
A bitter war of Donkey Kong has exploded, with controversy over a high score making it all the way to a Queensland courtroom. An American video game champion is suing a Brisbane YouTuber.
video
over cheating
game
claims.
champion.
And they didn't think that because I told them or because they watched my videos. They ran that story because of the arguments that were being made during the lawsuit and the nature of the pleadings. In Australian defamation, you must look at the entire publication. If I publish a video, Billy doesn't get to just extract a single paragraph and ignore everything else. In the video where I made those claims about the Apollo settlement, I also claimed that Billy was exposed for cheating. I claimed that he was banned for cheating. I said that he abuses the legal system to force people to acknowledge his video game scores. And I said that he expressed joy at the thought of Apollo Legends' death, because he did. I mean, I even showed in that same video text messages where Billy said he would try his hardest not to smile and giggle if Apollo Legend was actually dead. So
If it is true, I will not shed a tear. I will try my very hardest not to smile or giggle. Oops,
as part of Australian defamation law, there is a concept known as contextual truth. And
No, you can move for summary judgment if the remaining discovery would not produce anything that would create an issue of material fact. Okay, that's what I'm hoping. But we'll see.
this was one of my defenses. My defense
Is it just the Pixie case, or are you dealing with... no, it's literally just the Pixie stuff. That's it. And that's all it ever will be. Or so you think. No, that is.
states that because I made those other claims that both hurt Billy's reputation and were true, Billy was harmed anyway, and the words he complained of didn't harm him any more than he otherwise would have been. And in response to these other claims, Billy denied them all. He denied that he was exposed for cheating, he denied that he was banned by Twin Galaxies, he denied that he abuses the legal system, and he denied that he expressed joy at the thought of Apollo Legend's death. And because he denied those extra claims, the breadth of argument during the lawsuit expanded to include those as well. And the media evidently latched onto the cheating claims, because Billy was denying those, and that was his main reputation. So on one hand, the reason Billy originally sued me was because of Apollo Legend, but on the other hand, because he doesn't get to just isolate that one paragraph and ignore everything else.
What about the hacker? These are personal decisions I have to decide if I want to go through it or not. The issue is that if I make any progress on that case right now, just because of everything that's been brought up because of the recent stuff, like all of it is just a negative PR hit for me at this point. Like even if I were to find the person and everything, every single thing, every time it gets rehashed in the media, every time anything about it comes up, it's just going to be another negative PR hit for me. And then on this Pixie case, by the end of this, I'm probably going to have wasted maybe $100,000 plus however much money she's wasting. So it's like, fuck, like, I don't know how much of an appetite I have for pursuing stuff past this point, but you know, who knows? We'll see, I guess.
In the video, the cheating allegations, along with other more serious claims, became involved. And ultimately, the judge did agree that those other claims were made and that they were substantially true, though in his opinion, they weren't more serious than the claim Billy was.
Who do you think it was? Oh, I'm like 99.99% sure it was her ex-boyfriend or her current boyfriend on her account or whatever. I don't know if they're still dating or not. But...
that those other claims were made and that they were substantially true, though in his opinion, they weren't more serious than the claim Billy was suing over, which I personally don't agree with. In my personal opinion, I think expressing joy over Apollo Legend's death is far worse than any implication that the eventual settlement of Billy's $1 million lawsuit against a young YouTuber who had major health issues and no money and who was just expressing the truth might have contributed in some way to his decision to end his life. After Billy filed his lawsuit, I released a video in September 2021 titled "I'm Being Sued and Cancelled," where I announced,
if the case is tossed, then can't you recoup expenses from the other party? From what I was told, this is just by my lawyer, so I don't know, maybe he's wrong, but from what I was told, in America, everybody basically pays for their own lawsuits. Recovering court costs or attorney fees from the other side is, from what I was told, is exceptionally rare. It just typically doesn't happen, so...
After Billy filed his lawsuit, I released a video in September 2021 titled "I'm Being Sued and Cancelled," where I announced that I was officially being sued. In that video, I specifically state that I'm not going to talk about what the lawsuit was about. Normally, I'd give you a full breakdown of this kind of thing, but because this one involves me, I'm going to keep my cards a lot closer to my chest. What I will tell you is that I am being sued for defamation, and the amount of damages being sought is $450,000. I will definitely be giving you updates as we go, but I don't want to give out too many details or strategies before I use them in court. After this, I didn't talk about my lawsuit at all for over a year, and during this time, news outlets were posting articles about how Billy was suing me for cheating. Again, this wasn't because I said this.
Pixie's ex? No. The ex of the chick I was talking to online.
I wasn't even talking about my lawsuit at all. These articles were being written because reporters were reading the court documents where these issues were being argued. And I wasn't going to go out of my way to draw attention away from the cheating allegations either. Part of my defense was that Billy, more than anything else, has a reputation as a cheater. And when you think about Billy Mitchell, people don't think about that one brief claim I made in a video in 2021 and then retracted. They just associate him with cheating and abusing the legal system. The fact that so many people didn't even know about the Apollo Legend settlement claim is evidence of that. Then in 2022, Billy sent me a third concerns notice because of a video I released in April regarding one of Billy's witnesses accusing him of extortion. And he followed that up with another lawsuit, of which he sent to my lawyers and told them he was going to file it against.
Is it frustrating that people find the Ryan Beard video compelling? I mean, like, I think it's a decent layout of like all of the past dramas and stuff I've been involved in. I mean, I understand, I guess, why people would find something like that compelling. It's just for like to go into every single thing and to like figure out like, okay, well, who is, you know, this person, or why do we have this relationship with this person? Like some things are things that were genuinely just mistakes by me that I shouldn't have done. So like the Mia Rose stuff, but then he'll be saying things like, you know, why is he held accountable for this? Like, well, I mean, for a lot of these, like I've apologized for him, or, you know, I'm fine with the other person. I've talked to them. Like, what do you want me to say? What do you want to, like, I don't know what you're asking for here at this point. And then other things I think I would argue are things that were goofy or blown out of proportion. So for instance, like the Anna stuff, like people like, especially because Mr. Girl built his whole fucking internet career on the Anna shit. It's like, these are all adults that are involved in this. No, there's like, nobody's being raped here. Like if somebody wants to just like, nothing is forcing anybody to continue with all of this. Like if Anna wanted at any point in time, she could just stop talking to me. She didn't have to message me. She didn't have to go live. She didn't have to do this stuff. Like we're all like 30 plus, like it's insane how much people look at this as like a fucking, like a horrendously abusive scenario. Like, come on, let's grow the fuck up. But it is what it is. Am I dumb, or do you have a counter case for defamation? I considered it on some parts, especially related to some things. I don't think I want to talk about that yet, though, because I don't know. I'm trying not to discuss too much like legal strategy, I guess, but...
to me. And then he sent me a fourth concerns notice, saying he intended to sue me because I put a 10-second AVGN meme in a video completely unrelated to Billy. Billy was now threatening me with 3 simultaneous lawsuits. The first one had already cost $200,000 in the first year alone. So if Billy filed the second and third lawsuits, there was no way I could afford to defend myself. I had Billy Mitchell, the guy who had already sued multiple people for exposing his cheating and who had already sued me once before, telling me he was going to sue me 2 more times. And the reasons were insane. They were obvious abuses of the legal system. I felt I had no choice but to create a GoFundMe, and I advertised it in a video called Billy Mitchell Has Gone Insane and I Need Your Help. In that video, I clearly explain what is happening and why I'm creating the GoFundMe. Every single word I said in that video was true, and all of this is explained in the video. I understand that this was several years ago, so I don't blame anyone for not remembering the video or why I created the GoFundMe, but it wasn't in response to the first lawsuit that ultimately went to trial. It was because of Billy's constant legal threats against me, most of them having nothing to do with Apollo Legend. This video got a lot of attention at the time. Even Moist Critical made a video about it.
This is one of the most baffling reasons for a lawsuit I think I've probably ever heard in general. Now, as I understand it, the second lawsuit hasn't been fully filed yet. Right now, it is still in the letter of intent stage, where they are intending to sue Karl and have sent him the documents to indicate such, but it looks like it is going to be sent in the coming days.
And the GoFundMe raised 150,000 Australian dollars immediately. If anyone came away from that video thinking that Billy was suing me for saying he cheated, it's because he had started the process for doing exactly that, on top of everything else. Ultimately, these extra actions never made it all the way to trial, but there was no way for me to know that at the time. And it was possibly even because of the success of the GoFundMe that Billy ended up backing down. People are now using the fact that Billy didn't go all the way through with his threats to say that the GoFundMe was a scam. But I was just responding to actions taken by Billy and protecting myself. And the money was used exactly for the purposes that I said it would be, which was to help cover legal fees. This narrative that this whole thing was only ever about Apollo Legend, which ironically is a narrative that started with Billy Mitchell, is completely false. And if that were the case, Billy would not have taken action against me on 4 separate occasions, with 3 of those having nothing to do with Apollo Legend. That is why I never thought this whole thing was actually about Apollo Legend. I had been threatened and was dealing with so many actions from Billy that were related to cheating that from my perspective, this Apollo Legend lawsuit was just Billy trying to capitalize on a mistake I made. But wrong or right, I was under the...
Have you made a video about the Abrego Garcia stuff? No, but like a ton of other people have like covered it.
impression that Billy was suing me because they kept talking about his cheating and talking about him in a negative light in general. Otherwise, those other actions made no sense whatsoever. It was clear to me that his goal was just to silence me, especially when it came to the Apollo Legend claim, as I had already removed the words and made a retraction. The only other time I mentioned the
Am I alone in thinking this is incredibly boring? It's pretty boring. But it's just, I mean, this guy's defending himself for why he feels like he's been unfairly mischaracterized by the internet as having taken advantage of all the people that fundraised money for his lawsuit against the Billy dude.
GoFundMe was at the end of a video I released in August of 2023, where, ironically, I was responding to Billy saying that my GoFundMe was a scam. However, in this video, I allow Billy to fully explain why he's suing me, and I even say myself that the lawsuit relates to Apollo Legend.
Thanks for your advice, everybody. If this guy said what he believed to be true, how can he be sued for defamation? Is this some Aussie anti-free speech bullshit? No, just other countries have standards of proof for defamation, and just thinking that you're correct isn't enough in a lot of countries. I think in most countries, that's not enough to protect you from being sued for defamation or slander.